Hello, all. Welcome to
Oh,
Hawk Out Top Podcast. I'm your host, Bill Dean. I'm, of course, here with my two co-hosts, Steve Schwim. We're brought to you by Primetime Radio, Christopher Sam Wu. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Leave us a 5-star review if you'd be ever so kind. I was delayed on the opening because I was looking at our episodes, and we're at 199.
oh boy.
But Steven will not be here for
Yeah.
episode 200, or really
Not,
201. So what I did was
I don't
I'm
know how
going
I
to put
feel
this as
about this.
episode. I'm going to make this episode 199A. Next week will be 199B. The following week
Okay.
will be 199C, and then when Steven comes back, 200. So
Okay, I like
had
it.
to. So that's why
That's
I
fair.
just posted it. I was like, wait, I need to make sure that this is not episode 200 next week. Gentlemen, what are we drinking on this fine occasion of 199?
we need a power
Hey.
hour. First of
We
all,
do.
I have two of these for one of you. I don't remember who. I definitely gave it to Dean and Schwinn.
I have one.
Right?
You gave me
61?
61?
Did I?
You didn't
Maybe
give
I
me
have
61
yours.
yet.
Okay, so I have two of yours.
I'll gladly
which they
take
need
it.
to be drank. They need to be drank sooner rather than later because Shrim remembers the aging
Mhm.
downfall
The
of
process.
61. Which
He
was
does.
the
It tastes
date.
like Heineken.
It sure does.
Put the Pinot in the IPA and shake it all up. Canned
Ooh.
8/27/24. Yeah, so probably sooner rather than later.
All right, we'll bring it over on Friday.
Let's do it.
IPA brewed with grape must. Nice and simple. I'm going to go ahead and invert it.
It is.
Like
It really
so,
is delicious.
Even though there is
That is
no fruit
one
in
of the
it at
better
all.
beers. I love.
That's a good one.
61.
They make a good 61.
Yep.
just like the Swedes.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
They make a good certain kind of picture that we won't get into.
Oh God, I'm sweating already.
I'm going for it tonight. I'm having
There we go.
I'm having a stout that's 15.1%.
Oh my
Ooh.
goodness gracious!
You're going
called-
for it.
And it's not.
Looks like Brett a little bit. It's called Patricide. That's the
Who is
that's
that?
the, oh shit, my battery. I gotta get my plug.
Oh no, this
God
guy!
damn it.
You are a disaster.
I am.
The
Anyway,
creator,
this,
one of the creators.
Yeah, the owner of the Nightmare. That's his father. He put his father on the
Oh, okay,
on the can. Pretty cool. There's a little
that's pretty funny.
guy there. So yeah, 15.1% stout, with aged on Ecuadorian cacao, Madagascar vanilla,
Wow.
and toasted coconut.
Ooh, that sounds
I like it.
wonderful.
All right,
Get
I
it
have to
in
go get a
before
plug.
you before you're back from paternity leave.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm gonna have
Yeah,
it now. This
really.
is my last week of freedom.
This is your last week. It's been
Yeah,
3 months already.
sucks. Yeah, I started like the beginning of January, and now
Oh,
my first day
jeez.
back is March 31st.
Time for
Wow,
somebody
that
to get
went
knocked
quick.
up again.
Oh yeah, babe, we gotta get started again. I need to be off from work.
I need
I'll be
time
right-
off.
I'll be right back.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, he needs time. Oh, I thought he was doing the time. Yeah, whatever. All right. I have, courtesy of, because like I said last week, I went up to Treehouse. This is Gust of Guava,
Wow.
and
Very
it is
pretty.
it's a double IPA, but they, what is it? It's pouring a glowing orange color into your
Should I open
glass.
this?
Well, I need to get a glass now if it's glowing orange.
Is everybody gonna leave? I'll
don't
I'll
know.
do it by myself. Everybody can leave.
You'll experience notes and aromas of mixed tropical fruit and citrus with guava pulp, apparently. A guava puree and
Oh.
pulp. So I actually do need to get a glass now. I'm going to wait till Shrimp comes back, and then I will quickly go up and get a glass. But let's get those on tap for today's episode. I was just telling Steven I have a guava beer from Treehouse,
Ooh.
which I'm going to share with you fine gentlemen when you come over. But it says it's glowing orange, so I want to see how glowing it is. So I'm going to go get a cup too.
It better be.
But once again, what's on tap for today's episode? Here's our weekly snapshot. Obviously NHL is going, and we're getting to that time of year where every win, matters greatly. Every loss is magnified. Your fans go, nuts with each and every zone entry. But you also have some good stuff happening. Blue Jackets, they're trying to get into the playoffs here, but you have Sean Monahan is coming off the injured reserve after missing 28 games with a wrist injury. You had a couple guys ruled out with McDavid and Draisaitl. I actually saw this stat, was pretty crazy. This is only the third game in Oilers since they've been both on the team together that they've missed the same game. Draisaitl and McDavid. Oh, they've only missed three games in their careers at the same time.
Wow,
Pretty
what's the record?
impressive.
They won the other night.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess they would be 0. Well, I guess they wouldn't be 0-3 because they just won. But I did not see a record. That's good. But good question. Devils are losing 1-0, so that's going to be a happy shorts guy when he joins in 4 minutes.
The Devils.
Do you guys
complete that sentence?
Yeah,
the thing is that they are and they aren't, because they are. First of all, it's hard to think back of like this season and figure out how they're so solidified in that number 3 spot.
Well, they went out to an early lead, right? They cruised in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they had it. Yeah, a good start, but then like you just like thinking of the season, it's just been so many patches of just straight mediocrity, and then all of a sudden you look at them and they're pretty comfortably in 3. I mean, it would take a pretty monumental. Were they 6 points up, right? 6, maybe 6 on the
6
next. They could, and you know what also could happen is that they could have a worse points total than both wildcard teams. That could be a thing.
Yeah.
Which would be pretty embarrassing.
But
they're, I mean, well, I mean, currently they are. It's Ottawa and Montreal, I believe, are in those 2 spots. So, and I mean, I'm rooting for Montreal. I like the energy that they're bringing. That Colorado game was fantastic.
That game was awesome. That game was so
I know you want
fun.
You want the Rangers. I know, especially that third period was not.
Obviously Rangers, but if it's not the Rangers, I want Columbus, just because of the story with Johnny Gaudreau. I think
get it.
Is
I know, I get it, but it's just they're
not a great team. I know.
They had a good emotional run where they know whatever, but I can't, even with Monahan coming back, I can't see them righting the ship and then all of a sudden going, because they need to go on a good run here. It just can't be like a 500 record to end the season, which is probably where at best they're going to end up. So I think they're pretty much toast. Unfortunately, the Islanders are still there.
Yes.
And I don't see them going away in the race. I think it's gonna be them and the Rangers and Montreal. As long as Montreal can keep this up, I think Ottawa's pretty firmly in that 7 spot.
So just quickly, Ottawa's at 79. Montreal's at 75. They both have the same amount of games played. The Rangers are at 71 games played, so they actually have 2 more games played than Montreal, so that's not great. And they're at 74 points. And then the Islanders are tied with Montreal for games played. They have 73. And then Blue Jackets are 71. So
yeah, the Blue Jackets though, they're done unless everyone around them unless they all like kind of float around 500-ish for the remainder of this playoff push. I don't see Columbus really making any sort of. I really think it's those 3 teams.
Columbus actually has the 6th best home record in the Eastern Conference. It's just their away record is 11-20-4. That is not good.
No.
Yeah.
They were close to the Devils at one point, and then
they were.
Yeah, they were.
And they just went off a cliff and just started losing. They went on like a pretty long losing streak. I think like 5 games or more or something.
Yeah, and losing.
I thought they were going to catch them
badly.
Yeah, they were playing really good. They're like, damn, they're looking good. And then all of a sudden, like a light switch, they were just god awful again. But
some of these teams, especially the ones that were kind of, because it was such a packed race there for a while with who's going to get into that wild card spot, and the difference in points between 7 and like 10 was, or not even 10, like 12 was like 4 or 5 points. But you knew that some of those teams were just going to start coming back to reality. And while it was
some of the teams are being thinned out now.
Yeah. And it was nice to see, like we were saying, it was nice to see Columbus there. And, but, teams like Detroit are fizzling out, or have fizzled out.
They've been.
Montreal kind of came out of nowhere. Ottawa was playing very well, and now it's kind of like middled out a little bit, but I still think that they're probably comfortably in the 7.
Yeah, they're still in good shape. I just hope it's any team
but
the friggin' Islanders. I don't want the damn Islanders making the friggin' playoffs. Any team but them could go. I don't care who it is.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's still a chance that the Islanders can also catch the Devils.
Yeah,
that is still a possibility.
7 back.
I know that,
and the Rangers too. But
yeah, I mean, yes, they can. It's just like the Devils. Like I said, they had a large enough lead that. I mean, I don't like to wreck on any of the Devil fans that are listening into us weekly, but if the playoffs ended now, if the regular season ended now, and you have these teams in the playoffs, Montreal, Ottawa, and the wild card spots, and so on, I look at those teams, and I think the Devils have the weakest roster in the entire playoffs.
Between the East and the West?
No, the East.
Oh, just the East?
Yes.
You think the Devils' roster is worse than Montreal?
Yeah, going into the playoffs. If it ended now, yes. With Dougie Hamilton out for the season, with
and
Jack Hughes out for the season. Mm-hmm. I mean, that roster is what you have. Jesper Bratt kind of taking the team on his back, and then a whole bunch of guys that are just kind of there.
Well, Jesper Bratt actually has the record for most assists in a season by a Devil. How is that possible?
That's crazy.
I think
61.
And now I'll give praise. I will give praise. I think Jesper Bratt is probably the most underrated player in the league right now. That's my
underrated player.
I don't know about the most, but I say he's absolutely.
He's definitely underrated.
He's definitely underrated.
Yeah, he lives in the Hughes shadow.
Who's more underrated?
I'm trying to think of somebody right now.
Yeah, I'm. You got to give me a second. I'll think of some people.
I'm willing to argue with you guys, but that's my opinion.
Montreal's roster: Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, Lane Hudson, Uri Slafkovsky. Then you start to get into like the Evans, Laine, Gallagher's. You think that 4 is better than? I guess if you're going to do it, it's going to be Suzuki, Caulfield, Hudson.
Start naming Devils for me, and now start naming Devils for me. Besides
so we
Bratt.
say. Well, you have to put Bratt because I just gave them the top guys.
Heischer,
so Bratt, Heischer. I guess you're gonna. Which defenseman would you put with Hudson? I mean, there's not going to be one that's be better, but I guess you would put
Kovacevic,
Hughes,
obviously.
Kovacevic, yeah. Who his coach called out.
Was that like they were showing something? Kovacevic said something, and then the coach said he needs to play better.
Yeah, so Kovacevic came out and said that they need to have a playoff mentality going in. And
I
guess
okay. And then the coach.
From what
said
it didn't sound, it didn't sound like he was saying like, oh, they don't have it. Like I think just the wording didn't come out right. But yeah, then the reporter asks him for his opinion on his quote, and he's like, "Well, Kovacevic just needs to play better. That's it." And like, and immediately ended the press conference. You're like, "Oh shit." So.
One of those.
Timo Meyer, sticky poo poo. Nason.
Although he's been a little bit better lately.
Yeah. I enjoy after every Devils, every Devils game, Frank the Tank from Barstool, which is the guy I send you all his videos of like the skies falling. It's fantastic because he just slanders and destroys every single Devil, and I think it's very hysterical.
I worry about that man.
Yeah,
he is. He's gonna have a heart attack.
Every time I see him, I don't know. I just feel like something's gonna burst.
Yeah, it's called an aneurysm because he's a very large human being. Yeah, so I was looking through and obviously you see all the teams that are up against it. A couple injuries. You have Velarde who's out with an upper body injury. We talked about the two from Edmonton. Ovechkin netting 888. He's 7 behind. I don't think he makes it this year. I don't. I think it's going to be next year.
Great right now.
Yeah. And he will have 10? Done it then.
11?
Yeah, so he needed back, right? 11 games left. He needs 7. I think if he doesn't do it within 5 or 6 games, Gretzky will have the goals per game record because he will have done it quicker than Ovechkin has.
Right. Gotcha.
Jarvis left with an injury too. There was a lot of injuries.
He's
by
back,
the way,
we've
we've talked about how bad reffing is. Did you guys see how they stopped Kemper and Swayman from the fight that they had?
Yeah, I saw it. Just let them go.
Yeah, let the goalies go.
We never
got to
be
something about. There's got to be something regarding the goalies.
Not glowing orange, but
it's pretty orange.
Looks like
there's got to be something. There's got to be something regarding the goalies because I feel like anytime the refs have the opportunity to stop a goalie fight, it's stopped. And I don't know why. There's got to be some sort of instruction somewhere about telling them not to do it.
Yeah, try to not have it. Yeah.
When the goalies fight, do they still only get 5 minutes, or do they get like tossed from the game, and the backups have to come in?
Yeah, the backups have to come in. I don't think they get tossed. I think it is a 5 minute. They just go to the locker room.
They still get 5 minutes.
Like I think so. Yeah.
And they don't get to go to the box. They have to go to the. They have to go to the. They go to the locker room. They don't actually go to the box.
I think somebody might because you can't. Nobody can serve a 5 minute major for you. Well, I guess you can if you get ejected. So maybe they do.
Well, majors, but that's not a major.
I'm trying to think of a fighting major. Yes, it is.
Oh yeah, no, but I meant it's not a major in the terms of the guy gets in the box and then he has to come out after 5. It's just then time ends. Time expires.
It's a major penalty. Fighting major is a major. It's a major penalty. But
I mean, it's not a releasable.
If somebody gets a 5 minute major for whatever and is tossed from the game, somebody else serves that 5 minutes. So I do. I think I want to say, and I'm not positive, but I want to say based on trying to remember here that somebody serves the fighting majors for the goalie.
All right. So goalies are courtesy of Goalie Monkey. Goalies are subject to the same rules regarding fighting as other players, which include receiving a 5 minute major penalty. However, goalies can also face additional penalties for leaving the crease to engage in a fight, as is often seen as escalation of conflict. Mm-hmm. If one goalie solely goes the length of the ice to start a fight, they can get an ejection for crossing the center. Okay, but if they both go within sort of the red line, it's okay. But if one goalie clearly goes across the 120 feet, 200 feet, they can get a full suspension.
Yeah, but what's the
full ejection?
Do they serve the fighting major?
Yeah,
I don't think
they get a 5 minute major. Yeah,
I know they get it. I don't think they serve it.
Well, they're not allowed to stay in the game unless the other goalies are out.
Because it's a major, I would assume that they have to be out for that. If it's a major, if it was a minor, like it is, if they get called for tripping, obviously somebody serves it for them.
I don't remember when. So I'm thinking back about like why don't they let goalies fight? And then the first thing that comes to mind is when Brent Johnson just annihilated DiPietro and broke his face.
Yes,
like literally.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
So I don't know if that's part of the reason, but I don't remember Johnson being kicked out of the game. DiPietro obviously left, but I remember Johnson finishing. But I could be wrong.
Well,
I don't remember.
Let's see if this gentleman knows.
This gentleman knows the correct answer.
If I
do you know the correct answer?
I actually don't because I have never gotten a 5 minute major. However, if I can get a 5 minute major and not have to worry about leaving the ice, man, bring it on, baby, bring it on. I will definitely do it.
Maybe
I have to look that up because
in the championship,
I'm assuming you guys are talking about
go
Swayman,
after
right?
Rob.
Yeah,
you guys just go after Rob, take each other out, and then just have 6-on-6.
Why would I go after Rob? I like Rob.
Well, I know, but this way Rob's
I don't
out
like
of the game.
Playing Rob, but yeah, no, that's something. And I'm assuming you guys were talking about the Swayman.
Yeah, how the refs denied it.
They
denied the NHL. I got it right here. In the NHL, if a goaltender receives a penalty, including a fighting major, a player who was on the ice at the time of the
I have no idea what just happened.
Wow.
Are we still on?
Esteban is giving an answer, and he
didn't want to hear it.
He was censored.
Yeah.
That's real news, Maxie.
I don't know if
right
you want me. If you want me to,
you could have just muted him, not kicked everybody off, Dean.
It's very news, Maxie. I don't think Nick Adam would appreciate that.
I have no idea what just happened, and I'm sure to see. Yeah, we're still on. Okay, that's good. All right. Martin Lynn says Shroom needs to be back on the team. Thanks for the commentary on our podcast, Marty.
Just not going back.
No, go, Steven, go. No. We just had a little.
I don't remember where I left off. So in the NHL,
I get a 5 minute major. What
happens? If a goaltender receives a penalty, including a fighting major, a player who was on the ice at the time of the infraction serves the penalty, not the goaltender.
Okay.
All right. Well,
maybe I were kicked off.
Maybe I should go get a fighting major.
Maybe you should.
If a goaltender is assessed a game misconduct or a match penalty,
then his
place will be taken by a substitute goaltender.
And then that's where E-Bug Shorts guy comes in. Sit the bench.
So strip that quickly on your 1-0 end of first Canucks. Was it a bad goal?
I honestly, I stepped away at the exact moment that the goal went in. So I have to watch that. The Devils are looking a little bit uninspired. They even made a comment, and you can hear it. The building is very quiet as well. So it's definitely, I don't know. That was only the second or third shot. I think it was the second shot that Markstrom faced. So
what was your interpretation of the Keefe Kovacevic?
They were making a big deal of it before the game. I honestly don't really care. I don't really mind it. Kovacevic said one thing, and I was at the game the other night, and Keefe was asked a question in the heat of the moment at a press conference, and he answered honestly. I kind of like those honest answers.
Well, the thing is, he wasn't asked that question though. He just kind of blurted it out.
Did you hear?
Keefe was asked that Kovacevic had said that they need to play a more playoff style game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he responded by saying that he just needs to play better.
Kovacevic just needs to play better.
Paraphrase.
Instead of saying we need to play better.
Well, Kovacevic does have to play better.
Calling him out in public like that is
amongst other players, I would assume.
Maybe he does. Maybe he does.
A lot of the defensive players. I don't really mind that, because Keefe, Keefe may know that Kovacevic might respond well to that, but then again, Kovacevic just took kind of a beat penalty in the first period there. But Kovacevic over the Thursday and Saturday game, which it was both that, he didn't look very good. He gave up the puck to Huberdeau, which caused Calgary to go up 4-3 on Thursday, and the whole defensive core just looks like a mess right now. And the Devils' offense just isn't there, and they're not shooting. So it's frustrating all around defensively. There's definitely something they have to change, and to let the second shot go in. Like I said, I still have to watch it. I'll watch it now while you guys are talking, and I can give a little bit more on it because I'm going to have to do that later anyway. So, but yeah, I hate those early shots. But I know, Steve, you're used to them after this season.
They're going for the record. They're gunning for the record, right? It's 20. What did we say? It was 21.
It's been a while. What?
Yeah.
No, 16.
Oh, that's right. 16 was the Avalanche, right? I said.
Yeah, and it's been a while since they let up.
They're 13.
They're at 14? 13?
Yeah, it's one of the
14?
Yeah.
I think 13 actually.
Something.
But it's been a while since they let the first goal. But the whole Keefe Kovacevic thing was it's always going to be over dramatized. I'm not a fan of it. I don't think it's the end of the world. Number one, but I don't think it's necessarily the proper tactic for a coach to call out a player, especially like not a superstar. I mean, like a superstar, if you want to make an example of somebody. But anyway, like I said, I think they're going to make a bigger deal out of it than it is. But I'm not particularly fond of something like that. I'm going
to be willing to say that if given the opportunity to answer that question again, Keefe would not have answered that way. I feel like the reporter caught him.
Yeah.
The reporter caught him after a frustrating, two set of games where the Devils looked pretty awful on Saturday night. They couldn't generate much offense. They looked pretty bad defensively. He was frustrated, and I guarantee that before that question was even asked, and before he even knew what Kovacevic said, Kovacevic was probably up high on the list of Keefe's players to have a discussion with. And who knows what was said maybe on the bench in between periods in the tunnel. We don't know any of that because we're not privy to that information. But
Kovacevic could have been on the bench talking shit about the rest of the team.
He could have been too. Like we don't know that. We do not know that information. So Keefe could have been ticked off about Kovacevic going into that presser for something completely unrelated. We've all done it before. You're ticked off at someone, and all of a sudden you hear their name or there's something about them is asked, and you're like, oh, they can go F off. And let's see if normally, possibly not, but
let's see if he walks it back a little bit. But if you remember, Toronto used to give Keefe, Toronto media used to give Keefe, issues with, he would never negatively talk about his players. The one time he did was that Mitch Marner thing where he actually walked it back afterwards, and people were like, "Well, why don't you just stick to your guns if you're not happy with somebody? You just do it. Just
good band.
It is what it is. Yeah."
And that goal the Devils allowed was really crappy defensive coverage there in the slot, and that was on Eric Halla.
Yeah, just while you're on shorts, one more question. So this is just something Steve said, and maybe he's correct. If the standings fall as they are right now, where you have Florida, Toronto, Tampa, Washington, Carolina, the Devils, Ottawa, and Montreal, Steven thinks that your roster would actually be the worst in the Eastern Conference.
Weakest.
You basing that just in general, or you basing it on current play?
Off of those teams. So Florida, just roster. Yeah, roster.
Just
roster, and obviously
roster.
Yeah, and obviously you're out.
Because you're without Hughes and Hamilton.
Hamilton, Siegenthaler, and Hughes, right?
Siegenthaler too.
They're all out.
Our defensive core is pretty weak right now, and
Cuckoo pop. Poo-poo caca. Islanders are up 2-0. God damn it.
Yeah, they are. I saw that. I don't know if I like that or not.
I told you.
Man,
the Islanders. Watch the Islanders make the goddamn playoffs, and us just be miserable. Because that Washington Islanders is going to be so bad to watch.
Yep.
No one's going to want to watch that.
Nobody's watching that.
And you know who's going to win it?
Yeah, the
Islanders. Freaking Islanders.
Yeah. Somehow the Islanders are going to sweep them.
If the Islanders make it, then they're easily the worst roster.
Same with the Rangers.
I'm saying now, if it ends now, because in all honesty, this is where I'd like the playoffs.
I don't know if Montreal is weaker than us. I would say we're not high up. We're definitely not top, but I don't. I think we're definitely better.
The way Montreal's playing right now, though, they look pretty damn good.
They're very good.
They're doing that, and right now the Devils are getting nothing from any facet of the team as far as goaltending, defensive play, or scoring. And the offensive play, the lack thereof, is causing there to be a lot more defensive play going on, and the defensive core is getting beat and they're getting tired, and then the goaltending is asked to do a lot more, and you're asking a goalie who just came back from injury to basically save their asses every single time, which is not good for him to come back. And I will say this, seeing him come off the ice, seeing Markstrom come off the ice on Thursday, he was not happy, and I could just hear the conversations. I couldn't actually hear them, but I was able to actually, I was able to predict what the conversations in the room were going to be. It were probably very much like, "Hey man, sorry about that. That's on us. We should have done it." And then it's him going, "You guys can go F off. You need to help me a lot more." And then him just going to his stall. It's just the way he looked coming off that ice. The problem was some jackwagon to my left was like shouting at the team, going, "You guys lost. You were up 3-1, blah, blah, blah." And I'm looking at this guy.
Frank the Tank?
I'm like, dude, what?
Frank the Tank?
No, it wasn't him. It was some other clown with a Yankee hat on. Didn't even have any Devil stuff on, as far as I can say. As far as I could see. It's like, dude, I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, you couldn't skate one lap around this rink without dying. Clown.
What was it? You talked to more Devils fans than we have. Have they come to terms that Timo Meier contract and him in general is just one of the worst contracts, and he's playing just ass right now? I know he's 20 goals, but
I don't think it's that
whatever million isn't great. I think it's the worst contract on the roster. I don't think it's the worst contract in the league, but it's
probably top 5. It's got to be top 5.
It's
top
definitely
5 worse in the league.
It's not great.
Yeah.
No, I know it's not.
So
great.
for what
You're right.
For what we're hoping for and expecting for offensive output,
8.8.
Okay, yeah, number wise, it doesn't look all that great.
Yeah,
but it hasn't been that great for 2.5 years.
So will you just let me talk?
I'm just saying. You said it's not great this season. It's not been great for a while.
Can I finish?
Okay.
My gosh. This is just like that baited question that was asked to freaking Nemec. Do you think you should be in the NHL? Because one, you hate the Devils, and this is what you're doing. So this is where this is coming. So I hate your team, and here's a contract that. Anyway, yes. Do we want him to score more for what he's making? Absolutely. However, a lot of the other hockey plays that he makes, a lot of the other stuff he does on the ice, he's not.
I hate these excuses.
Oh, shut up, Dean. You just want me to say, I hate the contract.
No. Just for the fact that, like, he does all the other things around the game. There's third and fourth liners making $2 million to do the same other things that, like, you
can third
pay
and fourth
him.
liners do it? But can third and fourth liners do it at the same speed he can?
You pay him $8.5 million to do one thing, and that's put points up. That's what you pay him for.
And he's not doing it. Yeah, that's without a doubt. However, there's a lot of other things that he's doing that I'm happy with. But if you're just, you're run of the mill, I like to watch goal hockey fan, you're going to say it's terrible. And I think it's still relatively split. I don't think the fan base is as a whole hating him or what he's doing. I think a lot of fans that have played the game understand he's doing things that the rest of the team's not doing, or that he's not showing up in the score sheet. He's doing other things. And like I said, the run of the mill, how come he's not scoring any goals? I could score a goal. They're going to say, yeah, it's a terrible contract. But I think for what it is,
they're absolutely saying that they could score a goal. You're right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's another case.
I heard shoot more than I wanted to the other night, Schwim, and all I could think of was you.
I need Schwim needs to be a Penguins fan for a day and see if he survives.
Oh my God.
I think Schwim needs to be a fan of all of our teams for a day.
Shorts guy, I was saying with Timo Meier, I think it's another case of good player, bad contract. And I always love the analogy of, like, you go to the pharmacy, you want to buy Kleenex. Kleenex does all the work that you need. It's a great tissue, except the pharmacy is charging you $30 for a box. That's kind of where Timo Meier is. He's a good, effective player that costs way too much money.
I have the same issue. His name is Mika Zibanejad. Like, I know how this feels to have someone make way too much money and is not producing.
Oh, no. Mika Zibanejad is missing way too many open nets. It's not like Timo Meier is missing way too. And if you watch Timo Meier play, he's pushing for goals and it's just not going for him. Like, Zibanejad is missing wide open nets.
He's got 1 point in his last 7 games.
Yeah. And my only problem with that, Shorts guy, is that you've had a pretty large sample size at this point.
2.5 years.
You might just kind of be. He might just be. It might be a situation where it is what it is, because Rickard Rakell had a very similar situation last year where he was one of his worst offensive outputs of his entire career, but he was getting the chances he was creating, the chances he was getting, the amount of times he was robbed or hitting the post. It was just countless times where it was there and it just wasn't happening, and you weren't sure what's going to happen. Then you go to the next season, is this an anomaly? Is this a downward trajectory based on his age? And look at him now; he's a 34 goal scorer now, something like that. So
32.
Now it's working for him. 32. Sorry, 32. So now it's working for him. Timo Meier, it could be maybe it's a longer thing, but once again, like we spoke about last podcast, where in San Jose, I don't really understand what was happening that season, where Timo Meier had his career year in goals scored, and also Erik Karlsson had over 100 points.
The whole team did well offensively.
Yeah, on such a lousy team.
They wanted out. They wanted out.
I guess, but
I don't know.
Then you don't see them replicate it at all. And even when he came over to the Devils, like immediately, it was almost like a light switch. I mean, he scored some goals, but he wasn't scoring like he was in San Jose. And then you gave him the big contract extension, which you had to keep him. Otherwise he's walking.
Yeah.
But
I'm really not convinced that they've been able to find the right combination of players to play with him too, to where
that's
he can
the thing.
feature as the scorer.
You look back at San Jose and see what was there, and I actually think a lot of his success was through Erik Karlsson. To be honest with you, a lot of his goals, because if you watch, I was watching a lot of even Erik Karlsson highlights, and the amount of deflection. He was a big net front presence there. And Karlsson just found his stick blade, and he was, deflecting or one-time passing or whatever it is, And Carlson found him. I wanted to look back and see how many of Timo's goals Carlson assisted on, whether it be, primary assists mostly. But
Yeah.
I do think those two fed off of each other.
Now, and I'll leave
what you're saying is, hold on, Short Guy, real quick. So what Steven's saying is he wants him on Pittsburgh to be reunited with Carlson.
No, you can have Carlson.
Sure.
I actually like Carlson. So I don't really want to see him.
I'm also curious if, but before I bounce to go watch the rest of the game, I'm really curious too if it's a difference between conferences and divisions too. With the Metro is a very
or just conferences.
It's a lot. It's a lot tougher to play in the East, and it seems to be more of a physical brand of hockey in the East. Maybe it was a little bit more wide open for him in the Pacific and out West, and this is what he's got to, still figure out to adjust. So it could be that as well.
Another one real quick. You do see this sometimes. Players, there needs to be somebody who shines on a very bad team. And when that player goes to a team with a lot more talent, they tend to kind of disappear a little bit more.
But he wasn't the shiner on that team. I mean, Tomas Hertl had a really good year. Logan Couture actually was healthy. We talked about that before.
Yeah, but Timo was scoring. He was
he had
scoring
31 goals in 57 games.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, no. Yeah. He did very well. Yeah. I mean, Carlson had 25 and 76 for the 101. Man, everyone was over minus 30 in that team. Oof. Good God.
All right, guys. I got to split. I got a game to watch.
All right, SG.
All right, guys.
See you tomorrow, boys.
Enjoy.
See you later, buddy.
Adios.
Let me get him out. But, nope. It's going to just, we'll just stay there. And there we go.
Hey, you got it.
All right. There we go. What a turnover right there. Yeah, I will give Devils fans crap. It's just that I just think that contract, and they just haven't,
I mean, it's not a good contract. I don't think anybody can defend the contract. You can defend the player, and if somebody's going to say he's useless because he's not. Again, and
no,
like you were
useless.
saying, you're paying this big salary, and maybe with the salary cap going up, this big salary is going to look, I guess, a little more reasonable. But you're paying this guy a big salary to score. You're a top six winger, top line winger with that money you're making, and you're paying him to score goals. And if you're not scoring goals, but you're doing, you're in the corner battles and this and that, and you're just not showing up on the score sheet, then that contract starts to look real, iffy. But like you said, he's a good player. Like, you'd still want him on your team. You just don't want him for that much. So if you ended up getting if you ended up trading for him, for example, and the Devils ate $2.5 million in that contract, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. All of a sudden that looks real good.
Yeah. We talked about Hertl a little bit before, but obviously that injury, which was that's a bad hit once again. And then the refs call it a 5-minute major and then reduce it to 2 minutes. It was clear boarding, and this guy's going to be out for a little while now. Poor Vegas, joking around, poor Vegas. But that's a big hit to Tomas Hertl. Did you see the play?
Did you see the game?
That was two boarding.
He hits him from
Tampa
the goal line. He went
fly. He does
not.
He puts
he's not even near the boards when he hits him.
Homer.
Are you kidding me?
Two.
Do you know what boarding is?
I didn't see it.
All right, Steven will watch.
He went sliding into the boards, and it was unfortunate. I'm not disagreeing. It was
they called it boarding.
I know.
Should have given a 5-minute major, which should have.
They called high sticking when it's not high sticking. They call holding when it's not holding. It wasn't boarding. He wasn't even near the boards. He went sliding into the boards from the hit.
Who was it that hit him? It was
Lilleberg.
Yeah.
He was on a breakaway. Okay, so he's going full speed on the breakaway. Vasi makes the save on the breakaway, so he kind of stops after he makes the save. And then Lilleberg comes flying in and hits him. He's at the goal line, and then goes flying into the boards and hits the boards. He's not even near the boards.
That should have stayed a 5-minute major.
Hell, not even close.
That's in the rule books.
The best case scenario for them was that they drop it to a 2-minute minor, and that's what they did.
No.
Which I didn't even agree with that. And then I'm like, there was no way this should be a major.
right, what am I searching here? Who's hit on Hurdle?
Lilleberg hit on Hurdle.
I don't even know how to spell Lilleberg. Lilleberg.
Lilleberg.
Hurtle.
Kind
of a senseless hit to me. Cassidy rips
that was
into
the coach.
Lilleberg.
Yeah, you're going to that one. Go to that one. You could see the Twitter.
He hits him from behind. I'm not disagreeing with that, but he's not against the boards where he's boarding him. He hits him and then he goes sliding into the boards.
Boarding you don't have to be directly into the boards. You don't have to be right next to the boards for it to be boarding.
I don't know. I don't. Could it be cross-checking or something? Okay, maybe, but he's not. I don't know. It
was lower back.
The play everything happened so fast. He was on a breakaway speed and then slows up, and the other guy's trying to catch him, and then crushes him. But I don't a major for boarding. I don't know.
Steven, what immediate thought? Yeah,
at full speed, I don't think it looks like a major.
And it's unfortunate. I agree with all that.
Sucks that he's hurt. Yeah.
We see Kiefer Sherwood. Well, Steven's looking it up. Kiefer Sherwood, with 12 games left to go in the season, has already broken the NHL's record for hits in a season with 384.
Jesus.
He had 12 against the Rangers. He was a steamroller.
God damn.
Yeah, that guy's very impressive.
Who's that one giant man in Dallas?
That's not a major to me.
He's like Lachelle or Bushell or something like that. He friggin' hits everything in sight. I think that he's some young kid and who's like 6'5"
Fabian Bushell?
or 6'6" or something like that.
Yeah, Fabian Bushell.
He's a monster. He throws his body around I don't think he's played all season, but that's freaking crazy though. He broke the record already. Jesus.
Yep. You had John Tavares
who
reaching
had
1,100.
the record? Did you say who had the record?
The hits record it's an old timer.
Jeff Bukaboom.
Yeah, it's probably. Oh, it was actually Jeremy Lazon from 23-24.
Oh,
not old.
Last year.
No,
last year.
Yeah, last year. Very old record, by the way.
Yes.
Very old. I thought it was actually
2 years ago. That is old.
Then it might have been. All right, so then it was Matt Martin's before that. It was 2011-2012. He had 374. So Lazon beat it last year, and then Kiefer is at 395 already. So he's gonna be over 400 hits with 11 more games. Pretty.
Hits are a weird stat. I don't know if you guys ever. No, it depends on the arena they play at and who's counting them.
Yeah.
So it's not consistent. It's not like counting assists and goals. It's literally or block shots.
Yeah.
It's
subjective. Because people are like, that's not a hat. That's just like him riding him off. Yeah, it's.
It's like also how they calculate turnovers and giveaways. Like how do they determine which one is a giveaway and which one is a turnover?
Yeah,
it's great. It's a little crazy.
Andrew Burnett calling his team soft, which was very interesting.
Now he's calling them soft.
Did he spell it out?
Nashville. Yeah, he called them twice soft in a press conference.
SOF capital T.
Capital
soft.
T.
Yep.
What took him so long?
I don't know.
Yeah,
it took him a while.
For a while. Should have called him soft
team.
a dozen games into the season.
That team's bad. Did you see the Marchessault hit on? I forgot who it was. They were playing St. Louis, and he got hit first. He didn't like it, so he was hacking at. I think Torpchenko was the guy. So then he gets rid of it. Falk is in the corner, and Marchessault, after the whistle, just steamrolls him and started a melee. Very good.
I did not see that.
I missed it as well.
Just go take a look. It's pretty funny. All the good stuff's happening in the league right now. Gavin McKenna, he of the
playoff atmosphere.
He of the 2026 NHL draft scored 26 points in the final 6 games of the WHL season. He's second in the league for points at 129. His 40-game point streak is currently the second longest CHL point streak in the history, passing Sidney Crosby's 37-game point streak.
Who's
so
number
he's
one?
beating a Sid record.
Yeah, who's has the number one streak?
That's actually good.
And who's number one in the league in scoring if he's not number one?
You guys are asking me questions that I didn't get the facts to.
Stat boy.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sidney Crosby and
stats, Alexander Radulov, 50 straight games.
Holy shit!
Wow.
And then he hit his coach with a stick and ended the streak.
Yeah.
That fucking guy. Jesus.
Sometimes you forget about Radulov, huh? What a mess.
He was talented, but such a disaster.
He was such a head case.
Yeah.
Holy hell.
That guy is some regular season statistics. Michael Misa, another prospect, 134 points.
Okay.
This draft is going to be
really loaded.
Good.
The 2026 draft.
Well, no. 2026. The 2025 has like 5 guys in the top.
Yeah, 2025 is not even close to this draft.
Yeah, 2026. Michael Misa and I think Protas is this year's draft too. Liam Greentree, another guy.
Hat Rack.
Yeah.
Hat Rack. Nobody's named Hat Rack. Speaking of underrated players, I'm going to switch to underrated movies. That is one of the most underrated movies ever.
That's a good one.
If you haven't seen it, anybody out there listening, The Nice Guys, watch that movie. It's freaking fantastic.
Yeah, Nice Guys is very good. Will Ferrell.
If you didn't like,
no,
it's that's the other guys. Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
And Russell Crowe. Yeah.
If you didn't like Ryan Gosling before,
no, he's fantastic in that movie.
He's amazing.
Ryan Gosling's good in general.
But that's like probably my favorite movie of his, and he's friggin' hilarious in it. And Russell Crowe's great, obviously, always great. There's titties in it. Like, you can't go wrong with this movie.
I mean,
Trip.
What?
Jesus.
There shouldn't be little kids. It's almost 9 o'clock. There should be your little kid should be in bed.
We're hoping to grow the audience, and you're just plunking it right away.
What? Little kids need to know about titties.
Oh my God, Schweb. We're not gonna have any people listening. It's gonna be just.
Or maybe we'll have more. We'll have older creeps listen to us.
Can I deflect
yes, will the Devils hold the playoff spot?
Oh yeah, I answered this one too. I don't know if you guys. My answer was.
What was the question?
Well, he said, he has to poll. Will the Devils hold on to a playoff spot? He doesn't think so, and he doesn't think any of the New York area teams make it. And I said I think the Devils do hang on to that spot because of, like I said before. But also, I think that if they're going to lose that spot, it's going to be to one of the other New York teams.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's when you look at the standings, the one thing that helps the Rangers, even though obviously, games play doesn't help. Their regulation wins. They are 5 more than any other team in the wild card race. They have 31 regulation wins. The next team is
back pocket.
24. Yeah, that's a good tiebreaker. That's the first tiebreaker. So, All right, let's go. Rest. We talked about the wild card: Florida, Toronto, Tampa. This weekend was not good for any of those teams, right? You guys all lost, right? Tampa and Toronto.
Florida won though.
Florida beat
Florida
Pittsburgh.
Thanks to Steven.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Thanks to Steven. Washington is running away 102. They're they're still close with
Winnipeg. No one in the East.
Winnipeg's
no one in the East is catching them.
Yeah.
2 points behind.
And then you have 90 points for the Hurricanes and 80 for the Debs. Finally, like you said, wild card Ottawa, Montreal.
Is not trending well, by the way.
Yeah, they're 6-4 in the last 10. A couple injuries we talked about.
Should be a little embarrassed.
Yeah. So that Western Conference, you have Winnipeg, Dallas, Colorado, and that's pretty much still set in stone. Dallas, Colorado, first round match.
Matchup.
LA Kings and Edmonton Oilers. Once again, Schwimm's favorite.
Kicked himself. What?
What happened?
You were frozen.
You paused, and then you came back, and then you skipped forward, and it was really freaky.
Vegas. Well, I said Winnipeg, Dallas, and Avs, which no one's gonna like seeing that as a first round matchup. And then Pacific, you have Vegas, and then Steve's favorite matchup of all time, the Kings and Oilers. In round 1, both with 87 points. Minnesota and the St. Louis Blues in the wild card, with the Flames 4 points back of the Blues. Any team? Yeah, Blues are 8-1-1 in their last 10.
They're playing really good.
I
like them a lot right now.
Let us know that Timo Meier scored on the power play.
Get the hell out
did?
of here.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I think it was deflected. He didn't get it. See, we talk shit about him. He scores. Maybe that's what we got to do.
That's what they need. They just need Billy Dean to,
There you go. This podcast will talk shit about any player to help them score goals.
Yeah, that's why the Islanders are now like pushing for this last playoff spot because of our
we got to stop talking about
them.
Yeah. We have to stop. We got to get it out of there.
Can I talk about Islanders? For God's sake,
Islanders do well.
Go off on your boy who's leading the league in points since the Four Nations tournament. He leads the league in points in 20. I think it was 21.
Oh hell yeah!
21.
He is 2 points away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's record of 20 consecutive point per game seasons. 20 straight.
That's crazy.
Is insanity, and he could do it again next year. So
absolutely,
he's just like not so. And he's 2 points away. He could even potentially score over 90 points this season as a 37-year-old. Which I don't know. I think if this is, I know Gretzky's obvious that the goal record is impressive, and it's always going to be impressive. And I know that we don't really talk about this because I don't know that it's not as impressive because it's pretty damn impressive, but obviously the goal record was viewed as untouchable. I don't know if this one particularly was, or nobody really thought about it. Somebody like, who knows what, so far Connor McDavid has had every NHL season at a point per game. So there's that.
I will ask, and listen, I think you've seen my stance on Crosby change over the years. Obviously, I didn't like him at first. I called him baby, all that stuff. But as you watch, he's been extremely impressive. I'm first one to say that. My counter to the whole goals per game, the points per game, which is obviously it's statistically true. He did have those 3 years between 2010 to 2013 where he played a total of 80 games over 3 seasons.
And every season he averaged over.
I'm saying statistically he's got there. But Gretzky every year played almost 80 games each season. So does that...
Here we go. Every time.
That's why I said I asked.
Yes. No, it doesn't. I think he's going to beat Gretzky's record because Gretzky played another season. Gretzky played his 20th season. So if you don't think back then he still would he was still a point per game in the games that he played.
He would have
over a point per game in the games that he played, and would have been a point per game for a full season without a doubt, because you're talking about the peak of his career or part of the peak of his career at that point. So without a doubt, and now this is going to be his 20th straight. Gretzky did not have it in his 20th season. Was not a point per game player. So you're saying
I'm not
20th season to 20th season, Sidney Crosby is a better player than Wayne Gretzky in his 20th season in the NHL.
Oh, I would take Gretzky's first 19 seasons over Crosby's first 19. But
the 20th season in the NHL, Sidney Crosby and Mario Lemieux is a better player than Wayne Gretzky. Okay, that's not even an argument. Mario Lemieux is the best player to ever play the game. All right, so we're gonna stop right there.
I'm sure.
And I'm done. By the way, Tristan Jarry losing in the shootout again. He is now the second worst save percentage in the shootout of all active players, with a minimum of 40 shots against. There's another accolade to add to his trade resume.
Did they count the WHA stats in the Gretzky thing? Or is he?
No, it's not the NHL, is it?
It's not the NHL. Why would they count that?
No. I was just. I thought I counted 18, but 1, 2.
You want to count the juniors for Crosby too?
No. I was.
Can we count midget for Crosby also?
Yeah.
I'm sure he had like 400 points in a season and playing midget.
Well, Gretzky would have beat him in there. Remember, he had that 380 something points in like 12 games as a midget.
No, you put Gretzky. You put a midget. You put a midget Gretzky versus a midget Crosby, and Crosby wipes the floor with him.
It's completely you can't use different. You can't use different eras.
You
can't use different eras. Because
I know you just kind of did. That's why I said that.
What do you mean? How come I just kind of did?
No, you just kind of did prior to that.
When?
So
I never said that if you put them against each other, they're better.
You were talking about his might's points per game were better than Crosby's. I'm saying put a might against a might, and Crosby's a better player. And this is a might. We're talking about little children here.
No, I know. I was just I said the one WHA, and then you guys said the mites thing, and then I threw in the last little tidbit about him. So I was countering you.
Now I'm debating your little tidbit.
I think a might Pat Maroon would destroy all of them in ball hockey.
Yeah, I was gonna say good retired Pat Maroon.
Roller hockey.
Whatever.
Although I think
ball hockey.
Wait, is it roller? Sid plays goalie
roller.
in. Was it roller hockey?
Yeah, he played goalie and roller.
Yeah. I think he did pretty well. Of course he did.
But Pat Maroon was a force in inline.
Stupid Rangers ruined Gretzky's points total in that final year.
Damn no Rangers. One to blame but yourself.
That's what the Rangers do. They ruin things all the time.
They do ruin things.
Dreams, hopes.
Miserable. Stupid.
Third period leads. Everything.
Yep.
No one's worse than Pittsburgh at third period lead. Blown third period leads. They are number one.
That's another
numero uno
accolade.
And it's wild because they've been playing their 5-1-1 in the last 7, and they're actually getting good to great goaltending out of both Nedeljkovic and Jari, and all they needed was half of this in the beginning of the season, and they're easily in the wild card race. Easily.
Yeah. Probably.
I don't like it. Oh, and Sergei Murashov, 10-0 in the AHL. The most in Wilkes-Barre history for a rookie. You know what blows my mind is I think he doesn't have consecutive wins yet. I think that's 13. And I meant to ask.
Wins?
So not by rookie. So this isn't a rookie. So for consecutive wins, he's got 10. So he's 10-0, right? And I think the most consecutive was 13, and it was freaking John Curry. And I'm just like, in what universe does that goaltender hold a record in anything besides maybe in his freaking high school or something? That was one of the happiest days of my life is when he was traded. There was a whole bunch. I think we talked about this in a previous episode.
Him and Danny
backup goaltenders
when they were both traded.
I was just elated when they were traded from the team because there's just every time they started it was a loss. All of them, every time. Every time.
You would have thought the team won some sort of championship when they got traded, and you saw Steven's reaction to it.
Especially Sabrin, and I think they actually got something of value for him. I don't even remember what the hell they got, but it might have been Matthew Garon they got for him.
Okay.
Which, great, he won a cup. So why not?
Also, Steven. Oh no, never mind. I was going to say
another Gretzky thing.
No.
Another Gretzky.
No, not Gretzky. It was actually about Crosby. It was about Crosby.
Okay.
I thought at first this was be his first season with a minus since his rookie year, but he actually was a -8 in the 2019-20 season.
Yeah, this isn't the whole damn team is.
Yeah, -20 is not.
Is anybody plus?
In the minuses.
No, is anybody plus?
Well, I'm gonna say this. So the defense as a whole,
Connor Timmins
core is. Yeah, wow. Connor Timmins, is he a +7?
9. And then
+9.
Boko Imama +2.
Yeah,
Boko's a plus.
I believe the game the other night. Anyway, so go. Like I've said, I don't think so. They have not been a strong team defensively, and that includes the forwards. But you'd be surprised what bad goaltending can do to your stats.
Oh no,
he got a minus.
That's not indicative.
He got a minus
Crosby.
The other day. He got a minus against Florida. Like this is what plus minus. Like I still talk about plus minus because I usually use it as like a laughing point for somebody who's like a plus.
Yeah,
it's
funny.
50 something. I think it's funny. Or a plus is if there's a defenseman who's like McDonough, for instance, who I think is like a plus 36 or something. I think that's incredibly impressive. But like for example, Sidney Crosby got a minus against Florida the other day because Brian Rust backhanded a pass directly to Sam Reinhart in the slot, and he just buried it. And I'm like, all of those guys get a minus for that. Like, that seems unfair to me, doesn't it? They had nothing
when
to
it's
do
something
with
like as egregious as that. I think it should just be the player.
just be
that gets
-5 for the one.
He gets
player.
-2.
He takes the brunt of
He
that
takes
minus.
the brunt of all the minuses.
Yes.
I like that.
he
Alexi
gets
Protas is a +42. He leads the league. Braden McNabb is a 36, and then McDonough is also a 35.
He would have been up there, but Tampa sucks.
How old is McDonough now? Yeah, he was like a
-4.
He was like a -3. Wasn't he like a -3 the other night or something like that? Or,
35.
McDonough.
He was
in the friggin' in the Utah game.
It says -1
debacle.
was Vegas. He was 0. He was a 0 in Utah.
Oh,
I might be thinking of somebody else who was a -3.
-1 was Vegas.
Somebody else who I
and then the minus leader, one rookie not rookie sensation, but superstar sensation, Connor Bedard, -38.
Okay.
I was gonna say Kurashev, but I guess
Bertuzzi,
he doesn't.
-36.
He plays like 9. Kurashev is a fourth liner now, I think.
Yeah, he plays 14 minutes per game, and he's a -28.
Well, I think he played a lot
like,
more in the beginning of the season. Now he's playing like 9-10 minutes a game.
Nothing. Yeah.
That team, like, you get a minus before the game even starts. Being on Chicago. You're on the bench and you're already -2.
What's Ryan?
The game
Ryan Donato
hasn't even happened
I
yet.
don't think Donato is awful, is he? Let's see.
He's definitely a negative.
Is anybody a plus? I can't imagine.
No, he's definitely negative, but he's a -16. So in Chicago language, it's not so bad. Donato's been incredible for that team. By the way,
+30 for Chicago.
That team is so goddamn awful.
If there's a bright spot on that Chicago roster, Ryan Donato is that. Did he sign
the bright spot is
yet?
that Connor Bedard is most likely going to leave, and that will be an extremely funny thing to have happen.
Yeah, especially because they dumped every other bit of talent off the team before they got him. Which to me is like they just wanted to, like you said, and what some fans are talking about with some of these teams that aren't so bad. And I know your fan base has said it, my fan base has said it. Just blow it all up and trade everybody. Like, do you really want that? Ooh. You really want to be Chicago? I know it's exciting. You got Connor Bedard. But you have nothing. Look at like every other team that drafted #1 overall and got some sort of generational superstar. Like they already had young talent in place that it could complement this now super talent. And Chicago had that and got rid of all of them. All of them. Every top prospect or whatever, whoever had a taste of the NHL that looked like they were going to be great, dumped them all. And then you look at
Hagel and DeBrincat.
Why? Yeah, DeBrincat
and Strome.
DeBrincat, Hagel,
Dylan Strome, and 3 players right there. Mention if they were all still on the team.
To a lesser extent, Kirby Dach. I think Kirby, unfortunate with his injuries, but I think he's a fantastic player. To be honest with you, so they get rid of him. I don't know, and they don't bring anything else in. I know they have a couple other young guys now, but you want to draft your superstar and then bank on being really bad with that superstar for the next 3-4 seasons so you can get a couple more prospects come up to help them out. That's a miserable existence. Even if you have somebody like Connor Bedard, I would not want to be a Chicago fan right now. And then you look at some like Detroit up until, well, even now, like Detroit has been horrendous since the Datsuk Zetterberg, like since they all retired. I don't want that. I don't want to have that have to do with for a decade plus. Your team is awful.
So, Doc, Boquist, Yoki Haru. I mean, Yoki Haru's not great, but these are all guys that would be better on this team.
Yeah, but he was a young player that can still develop that you drafted like pretty high, I think.
DeBrincat, Nick Schmaltz.
Yeah,
Ryan Hartman, meh. Tyler Mott, decent.
Ryan Hartman's good. By the way, if you had Hartman still on that team with all those other players, that'd be a good friggin' lineup.
Yeah, Teuvo Teravainen was a guy they had. Obviously, Philip Deneau.
Isn't he back?
Was another one.
Didn't Teravainen go?
Teravainen, yeah, he is there, isn't he?
Teravainen's in Winnipeg. He's in Winnipeg.
Is he?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
He just got hurt. Teuvo Teravainen's on Winnipeg. Yeah, he got traded.
I don't think he's on Winnipeg, guy.
No, I'm thinking of Niederreiter.
I'm thinking of Niederreiter.
Yeah. No, he's still
on Chicago.
On, Chicago.
He's got 55 points in 71 games.
Yeah, he went to Carolina and then came to Chicago. Yeah, I was thinking Niederreiter.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good there.
Yeah, he actually is doing pretty good.
Being on a shitty team, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Philip Deneau, Brandon Saad, Andrew Shaw.
And then they dump Kane and I guess to a lesser extent Taves.
Taves,
They got they get
Taves
rid of
is trying to
Panarin
make his way
after
back.
one season. They had one season of Panarin, right? And then they
had a couple years of Panarin.
I don't think they had Panarin for that many years.
I thought it was like 3 or 4, and then
Columbus.
Columbus had him for 2 years. He was there for 2 years. So 2 years for Chicago, 2 years for Columbus, and then the rest of the Rangers.
Oh, I thought it was in Columbus longer than that. Okay.
Yeah. He had the 87 points and did really well, and the Rangers scooped him up.
Anyway, like I was saying, I want nothing to do with that strategy. Nothing.
Well, it depends. Because when you see,
I want name me one successful time that worked, and it didn't take at least 10 years.
A full tank?
Yeah, a full tank.
How about your Pittsburgh Penguins?
Tank. Yeah, and then yes, because they were
Crosby, Malkin, Fleury, and Stahl were all within like 3 or 4 years.
Did you see what happened prior to that when they dumped everything?
Yeah,
started with Yager.
But I'm just saying,
you know how awful they were. They were awful for too long. Too long. It was a miserable time to be a Penguins fan. Miserable, where it was difficult.
Chicago's not going to be good for a long time. All these people think that we're rebuilding now. It could be in a couple of years. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a while before they're good again.
But see, like my trade-off, I'm not selling everybody. I'm just get rid of Kreider and Zibanejad, like 2 guys that are just like, yeah, that's a big 2 pieces, but like that's not complete sell-off. It's a retool.
Kreider and Zibanejad, but you have people thrown in. They're not happy with Shesterkin. They're not happy with Panarin.
Well,
they want everybody gone.
Panarin,
and I think
Panarin
you have some decent young talent there. Yes, you'll get a lot for Panarin, more than any of those other guys. But
yeah,
Shesterkin's not living up to the contract, and he's making a ton of money. So it could be a Timo Meier situation where he's still elite, but not. But the team, what is he? 12.
The team around.
So what is he making?
He's making 11.5. Yeah, like 11.5. He's had bad games, but he's had a lot more good games than bad games. And I think they actually, like, per goalie stats, his expected goals saved above average is second in the league. Like, he's been awesome when he's wanted to play awesome. Yeah. I still think he's a top 5 goalie. He's just in a bad team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're talking, well, I mean, it's a little different, but you talk top 5 goalie with the top contract. So if he's number 5 with the top contract, you start to look at that contract a little bit.
But I guess would you rather have him or Bob, right? Bob has $10 million per. He's I'm not gonna say Vasi because I'd take Vasky, right? But would you rather have him? Would you rather have Sorokin? Would you have, I think other than Hellebuck and Vasi, I think Shesterkin's 3. You want to tell me Ottinger, but he hasn't done it in the playoffs.
No,
he's
probably not.
So
Vasi, I'm always going to take Vasi, and even if the stat, I mean, well, granted, his stats are still
Vasi.
No,
it's Vasi. I'll give it to you. He's number 1,
and he's still, and Hellebuck's going to win the Vezina.
Mm-hmm. Vasi's going to be number 2.
But I think
Vasi's.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to choose, Hellebuck, he's going to win the Vezina.
Playoff pedigree. If you want a guy like playoff pedigree and Game 7, like to troll out there. There's no way you're not choosing Vasi in that situation.
I'm talking entire.
If I'm picking goalies right
package.
now, it's Vasi.
Whole package.
It's Vasi 1.
Vasilevsky.
It's Hellebuck 2.
Even though, like, consecutive years, Hellebuck's going to win back-to-back Vezinas, and I still pick Vasilevsky every time.
Oh, agreed.
Every time. But no, Shesterkin's up there. I think you can make the argument. I would probably put Vasilevsky's number 1 for me, and I would probably put Hellebuck in number 2. Although I'm not thrilled with this playoff pedigree, but still can't argue the Vezinas. I think it'll be his 3rd, right? His 3rd Vezina. And then you can make an argument with Shesterkin, Bobrovsky, I guess maybe Sorokin, Tristan Jarry.
Tristan Jarry's like number 5 or 6.
You catch that one? I was waiting for somebody to catch that. Seeing if y'all paying attention. I don't even know what channel this freaking game is on. What is the Devils? Nice. What channel is the Devils game on?
Was it on ESPN regular?
Yeah, ESPN? It's ESPN. It's on the ESPN home.
Or was it blacked out?
I think the second one. All right, I'll do this outro music because we've been delaying for too long.
Yeah, been
I didn't realize what time it was.
Beers? Schwim?
Oh, you know it. 4.0.
Yeah, I give mine 4 also. 61 is pretty great.
And I don't even like stouts, and this is friggin' delicious.
4.25 for the,
start liking
the guava.
I guess I have to.
Shrim, take her home.
Dean, if you don't like your job, you don't strike. You just go in every day and do it really half-assed. That's the American way.
And Steven, Gretzky's better.